my background is in art history and psychology, and I pursued those two strands of study in university, having no idea that they would actually be related to each other. They just happened to be interests. And I found myself becoming interested in feminist art theory while doing a master's in art history. And then simultaneously I was doing a master's degree in developmental psychology, and found myself very interested in discourse differences between girls and boys, still not realizing that they might be somehow connected. And it was very frustrating because I knew someday I'd have to give up one and actually make a living and have a job. And I couldn't be a psychologist, art historian, and have a practice or something. So I ended up going towards psychology because I felt it was the way to sort of capture, from a scientist point of view, objective data on what the truth might be about gender. And so that led me into developmental psychology, specifically kids' development, language development and cognition, and how it intersects with gender. I do like teaching gender representation and resistance as an EUIE course. It's challenging because you're dealing with students who are entering university for the very first time. You have all the usual obstacles and epistemological struggles that they're grappling with. So a lot of it is just getting people up to speed on good writing, critical thinking, and so on, and inserting this strong message of exploring what gender is and how it affects us all. So I guess the answer to your question is, I love it. I've at times thought I was going to go mad teaching it, and it's very gratifying. In my teaching of required psychology courses, gender ends up being within the fabric of the whole thing. It's something that is always present. It's pervasive in anything you ever talk about in terms of human development. I mean, you can't talk about brain development, endocrine system function, reproductive science, and so forth without sex and gender. So it's pervasive. Some of it is addressing chromosomal status and developmental pathways, and some of it is the much more debatable question of identity, aptitudes, all the usual debates where nature and nurture get tossed around as a big debate. The question of gender, the issue and the debates about gender, sex and gender are always relevant, and I don't think they'll ever go away. It's something that every generation has to rediscover and come to terms with. Because biology, genetics, and so forth always has an unpredictable relationship with culture, socialization in general, it's always going to have an ever-changing relationship across time. Every person, every generation has to rediscover what that means, because it's just always in flux. So I think it's crucial that students take a course in some kind of exploration of gender, sex, and so forth. I think it's terribly relevant. It'd be sort of absurd to advocate that people take a course in women and gender studies and then ignore half the population, or to self-isolate. I think if the message is going out to men at USM, it would be get with the program and join with the other half to share a common knowledge about things.